Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's jump into Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 13, The Reunion. So as the episode opens up, it's really going down memory lane for Love is Blind. It's talking to previous couples, the ones that have stayed together, some of them not stayed together. But as it's jumping into Season 6, the cast, they start off with Jeremy, and of course he's sitting there by himself because he and Laura are no longer married. But Nick and Vanessa do ask him, are you seeing anyone? And he says, yes, I am. And they say, do you guys want to see who he's seeing? And from behind the screen, the doors opens up and out walks Sarah Ann. Oh my God. Why? This is... I'm sure they're doing this for dramatic purposes, but Jeremy, man, apparently they have been together for a year. Like season 6 wrapped a year ago. So now we are seeing this update. He and Sarah Ann are still together after a year. So they are still talking to Jeremy, and they're actually bringing up the fact that, okay, Jeremy, you are sitting with someone that you're currently living with from the pods. And on the Zoom cam, we have the person you were actually engaged with. But there was rumored to be another woman, a third woman that you were engaged to before coming on to the show. Can you speak to that? And Jeremy goes on to say, yes, I was engaged previously. I made it clear in the pods. But when I was asked to be on the show, I had already moved on from that engagement. So what he's saying is, yeah, he was previously engaged, but he was not engaged before, right as he was going on to the show. He denies this claim. So as they are still talking to Jeremy and Laura, Laura and Jeremy are kind of going back and forth as to what actually happened the night that Jeremy left the shared apartment and was supposedly supposed to be meeting the other guys from the pods, and he ended up spending the entire night out with Sarah Ann. They're just going back and forth. We weren't there. We don't know the truth. Jeremy has his truth. Laura has her truth. But what I am noticing is that Sarah Ann is stepping in and saying that, what Jeremy is saying is the truth. Okay, of course, we know Sarah Ann is going to take his side. They are still together. It's been a year. They even live together at this point. So, of course, she is standing up for, quote unquote, her man. Then what they are doing, Love is Blind, is showing a scene that was not in the season from the day that they were at the lake when Sarah Ann shows up. And Sarah Ann and Laura are talking about what had transpired. It's kind of like Sarah Ann is coming to Laura, quote unquote, woman to woman. This, even though this was not aired on television during the season, I feel like this is not real, because there is no way that you finding out that your man is with someone else and that someone else is coming to you like, I didn't mean that. No, babe. No, because what you're gonna do is get out of my face with this. Because no, the bottom line is Sarah Ann was wrong in what she did. Again, in my opinion, she should have waited until after the weddings happened to see what was going on with Jeremy. That's number 2. Number 1 is she should have never hung out with Jeremy that night. It was disrespectful. I don't care, because when they were in the pods, Laura and Sarah Ann seemed friendly. They seemed friendly. So for Sarah Ann to be out with her friend's husband at 5-6 o'clock in the morning, no, that's disrespectful. So as they are continuing on with the whole Jeremy and Sarah Ann shenanigans, we can tell that Sarah Ann definitely is feeling some type of way. They asked her, if she still talks to any of the women in the group, because here's the thing, when the season was happening, when all the women were in the pod and in the women's quarters, we didn't see anything negative with Sarah Ann. Like, they appeared to all be friends. Sarah Ann answers the question and says she doesn't talk to anyone. They have removed her from the group. Again, Sarah Ann, you have to be mad at yourself, because the way you handled the situation, it was not cool. And I mean, I get you feel like you love Jeremy, but it's just how you went about this. It wasn't right. It was not right. And the other women that were in the quarters can see clearly that you were disrespectful towards that relationship. And they don't have any respect for you. None. So now they are moving on to another scandal that happened while the show was airing. And I have to caveat this by saying, number one, I was a little behind in watching this season, watching the episodes. So as I was watching, things were coming out, but I was very intentional to not look at anything that was coming out in real life as I was watching the episodes, because I wanted the recaps to be true to whatever was happening in the episodes. So me watching this reunion is the first time I'm hearing about Trevor. And if you watch my recaps, you know that I was rooting for Trevor. I wanted Trevor to get picked by Chelsea. The entire time I kept saying, Chelsea, you chose wrong. You should have chose Trevor. But oh my goodness, they are reading the text between Trevor and his current girlfriend. Trevor, all of this was a lie. I'm befuddled. What in the world? Trevor, we were rooting for you, but you were clearly still in a relationship. All of this was, okay, I have to know why. I got to know why you did this. So Nick and Vanessa are saying, okay, Trevor, explain yourself. And when I tell you that Trevor is stuck in neutral, he is speechless. He doesn't know what to say. And AD says, nah, say it with your chest. You were clearly in a relationship playing with these women's feelings in these pods and playing with your girlfriend's feelings. Like, what in the... But he is clearly stuck in neutral. He can't talk. No, speak up. So after being stuck in neutral for what seemed like an eternity, he does kind of explain what happened. He's saying that, he wasn't with the girl. He kind of let the girl know that, I kind of want to go on this show. He was clear to her about that. I want to go on this show. I want to see what it's like to date and be with other people. Well, Trevor, you mullet wearing, you need to get it together, because there is absolutely no excuse for what you did. I am in complete awe of what happened. So as they are continuing to talk to Trevor, Trevor is being apologetic towards Chelsea. He is trying to let everybody know, I was really sincere when I wanted to be with Chelsea. Like, I really would have wanted to choose her. I wanted her to choose me. I would have married her. And if you don't believe me, you can ask Johnny, because everybody trusts Johnny. But Chelsea, you really got the short end of the stick. I mean, you chose Jimmy, but you could have chose Trevor. Girl, either way, you weren't getting married, because these two, I hate it. I hate this for Trevor. I mean, I do feel like he's being sincere in his apology versus Sarah Ann and Jeremy, their apology. I don't feel like, I really truly believe that they don't care. They only care about themselves. Trevor, I do believe that he's sincere. I believe that he is truly sorry. Listen, meet me in the comments, because I want to know what y'all think about Trevor. I'm so disappointed because I'm just finding out about this, and I truly had high hopes for him. He seemed like a really nice guy, and even now he still seems like a nice guy. He got caught up, but what he did with Trevor, what you did, and letting your current girlfriend know that you were going, that's a whole crazy, toxic, your words, not mine, situation. very toxic. I'm sorry to Chelsea, poor thing. I mean, she had her problems and her issues, but yeah, either way, girl, you wasn't it was gonna be bad for you, honey. So now, Trevor has left the building. He could not take the heat. So now we are over with Clay and AD. And, they had asked AD a question about basically how did it feel to look back when you guys were watching it as it aired and then just recall all the things that happened. And AD was like, it was a huge letdown. And it was. It really was. And then they asked Clay, would you do that again? Like, would you make the same decision? Honestly, he didn't say yes and he didn't say no. What he said was he realized that he really needed to work on himself. He said that he felt like he needed, that he got into his head a lot. Now, you remember in the previous recaps that I did, I talked about how Clay was really holding on to the pressure, and I knew he wasn't going to say yes. Clay, although he didn't answer that question, would you do it again? We all know he would still say no on that day at the wedding, at the altar, because he mentally was not in a space to say yes. Yeah, he may love AD, and he's even saying here at the reunion that AD is the love of his life. But he mentally, even though he loves AD, mentally he wasn't prepared. He prepared for marriage. He goes on to say, he has been in therapy. Good for you, Clay, because between you and Chelsea, I don't know who needed more. But yeah, both of you can go on to therapy, because I think it's a wonderful thing that Clay is in therapy. He is getting the help he needs. He says that he does not believe that he deserves love in marriage. Clay needs to work on that, because he does deserve love. We all deserve love, and if you want marriage, if you desire marriage, we pray that for you, Clay. But you have to continue seeking the help in order to get there. And of course, as he's saying over and over again that AD is the love of his life, as she's sitting there, of course, she's now feeling a type of way, because that was a huge letdown for her. In the moment, she didn't see it as a no from him. We all saw as a no from Clay. So another question that they asked AD first is, would you consider dating Clay again? And she pauses for a minute and she says, I'll pass. We know what that means, AD. If y'all not already seeing each other again, then you will. And nothing wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. And then they ask Clay the same question. And at this point, yeah, he is tearing up. Like, he is really emotional. Again, my thoughts on Clay, and just my opinion, I truly believe that he cared about AD. He still cares for AD, and he loved AD. It's just mentally he did not think he could do it. He didn't think he could marry her. And he knew that he needed to work on himself. And just to see him in this moment, teared up. Now, I know probably a lot of people gonna be like, that's fake or whatever. I don't think it's fake. I think that he really, really does have true feelings for AD, and I do believe that they gonna get back together if they already not. Again, I'm not watching the socials because I didn't want to see anything happening before I gave my recaps. But again, I still think that Clay and AD make a really good couple. I hope that they do get to a point where, she can see herself with him, because I believe he can really see himself with her. And as they are continuing to talk to AD and Clay, if you guys remember in a previous episode, Clay had mentioned he had never seen Love is Blind before coming on the show. But he started watching season 4, and season 4 is the episode that has Brett and Tiffany. And season 4, Well, Clay is saying that when he watched it, he could see, okay, this is what a husband looks like, a husband would sound like, and he was comparing himself to Brett. And that being said, Brett, if you watch season 4, Brett is a really good guy. I mean, he is just a really good guy. So, Clay trying to kind of compare himself to Brett, number one, really you should not compare yourself. I think it's fine to look up to someone and kind of look at them as a mentor, especially if you feel like you don't have mentors in your life or good examples in your life. I think that is perfectly fine, but we do find ourselves in trouble when we begin to compare ourselves. That was what Clay did. He said, well, I'm not as good as Brett. I'm not as good of a person as Brett. No, that's where you messed up at. And again, him applying so much pressure to himself. I hope that as Brett is sitting here, Brett is at the reunion, and he is hearing Clay speak on this. I really hope that Brett and Clay can build a friendship, and that maybe Brett can be some type of mentor towards Clay, because he does need good examples of what a husband looks like, what a man would look like, because Clay said out of his own mouth, he has never seen a successful marriage. So hopefully, maybe Brett can step in and be the mentor that Clay needs. So they are moving on from Clay and AD. I will say that they did jump over to Brett and ask him how he felt about the comments that, Clay made about him. And Brett was humbled. Of course, if you watch season 4 and Brett, of course, we don't expect anything less. I mean, besides the original OGs, Cameron and Lauren, the next up is Brett and Tiffany. And I don't know, originally when the shows first came on, season 1 Love is Blind, and we had Cameron and Lauren come on the scene, we really were thinking we will never see this happen again until we got Brett and Tiffany. So I just want to say that, I hope that Brett and Clay can become really close friends, and he be a mentor. As they are moving on from Clay and AD's story, they get into the one couple that stayed married, and they spent the least amount of time on this couple. This couple is the reason why we're doing the show. Not for all the dramatic purposes. This season was filled with drama. But we did have one couple that did get married, and it's Johnny and Amy, the most unproblematic couple of the season. They didn't ask them many questions. They've just been traveling. They said they're not having arguments, of course, because they're unproblematic. That is not to say that they agree on everything, because that would be weird. They're not the same person. So we know that in relationships there will be disagreements, but they said they have not had any arguments in the last year. So they have what looks to be a brief question and answer session from the Love is Blind alums. They are asking questions to the current cast, and we won't get into all the questions, but one question, the last question that was asked of Chelsea, and it was around trying to understand how Chelsea felt when, after the season aired, how did she feel when she saw that Jessica and Laura were talking about Jimmy? And what Chelsea says is, of course, it hurt to see that, but ultimately her and Jessica are friends. So this now leads us into Jimmy and Chelsea and them talking about some of the things that transpired during their relationship. And I will say that Jimmy is being very supportive of Chelsea. Like as she's talking and they're getting ready to bring Jessica in and talk with Jessica, because that was the love triangle, Jimmy actually reaches over to Chelsea and kind of holds her hand, rubs her leg, and Chelsea is looking at him. Now they're not together, I assume, but he's just being very supportive. And he goes on to say, whatever transpired between Jessica and Jimmy, you know, he feels like he really does love Chelsea. He did love Chelsea, and he chose Chelsea. He loved her. He cared about her. And so they kind of asked the question about Jessica. Well, they asked Jimmy, what did you feel when you first saw Chelsea's picture on Instagram? Did you choke? Because if you remember, Jessica said before she left out of that pod, you gonna choke, you gonna need that EpiPen. And so they were asking Jimmy, we didn't get to see you, so did you choke? And all he said was, as you can see, Jessica is very beautiful. She is absolutely gorgeous. And Chelsea, just the look on her face is, we know she is in her feelings because she is very insecure. She even said it during I'm not being hard on Chelsea. Chelsea even said it herself. She saw how insecure she was when she watched this season back. I think on one hand she tries to play like she's very secure, very confident. And I've seen a couple of her posts, and she tries to come off as that way. And AD even spoke to that about Chelsea. AD said it was hard to watch Chelsea and Jimmy, because the Chelsea that was portrayed during the season was not the Chelsea that the girls experienced. They did experience a very bubbly, very confident person. But when they watched the episodes and saw what was happening, the roller coaster of emotions and how she was acting, AD said it was very hard to watch. And as Jessica and Jimmy are now kind of going back and forth about their relationship, like once they did meet down at the lake, and kind of what transpired, Nick or Vanessa asked, okay, well, now are you guys friends? And Jessica said, well, we were, but she saw him go onto an interview recently, and she felt like he was kind of throwing her under the bus. So he's kind of trying to clear the air. They definitely have their own opinions as to what happened during their last pod date. They both have two very different stories and how they viewed it. Ultimately, I feel like when they had their last pod date and Jessica had given Jimmy the letter to read to her future husband, and I said, this is not something, you should give this to him at the altar. But nevertheless, she gave him the letter. He didn't say anything, good, bad, or indifferent. He didn't say anything, really. And so I think she felt a certain kind of way, and they ended up breaking up that same pod date. But I believe what happened between Jimmy, the reason why he ended up going with Chelsea, I don't think he was really going to go for Chelsea, but it was the way Jessica was speaking to him that he could not get with. I could tell he does not want a woman that's going to be like getting loud with him. And so he ended up immediately choosing Chelsea. So as they are continuing to talk about their last pod date, what Jessica is saying, the reason why her and Jimmy are not friends is because he went on this interview and basically he threw her under bus by saying, she got loud, she left in 10 minutes and they didn't get to finish the date, and he ended up choosing Chelsea. Okay. Jessica is maintaining that it had to have at least been an hour and a half, and Jimmy says no, I'll give you 45 minutes, but it was definitely, to me it felt like 10 minutes. And so that's what he said in the interview. Jessica said, pull the tape. Somebody pulled that beautiful bean footage. And why did Love is Blind the producers done slid they pod date in here, and that last pod date that Jimmy said felt like 10 minutes before she walked out was actually 2 hours. 2 hours, Jimmy, and 13 minutes. Jimmy, I tell you what, all season long, I've been saying you've been Jimmying all season long. Bye. Goodbye. So one of the Love is Blind alums asked the question to Kenneth and Brittany. Now, who is Kenneth and Brittany? Because we haven't seen them in the last 3 episodes, but I'm assuming they're on the cast. I'm just teasing. But I mean, literally, they haven't been around. But the question that they asked was, do you think that if y'all would have connected on an intimate level, would that have increased the crave, the quote unquote crave that Brittany mentioned was missing? And she said, she shouldn't have, she shouldn't have to rely on having sex with a person to create anything in between them. I don't know. To me, I mean, I understand that point, but what I want to say as far as Kenneth and Brittany's relationship is that it was no type of, he just didn't seem into you, Brittany. I mean, he didn't seem, even when y'all were in the DR, he seemed very disconnected. He was looking past you when y'all were talking. He didn't want you laying on him, when y'all were on that boat. I don't know. Kenneth never seemed interested in you. And I don't know, again, remember he said that this is his first interracial relationship. He's never dated outside of his race before. So I think that played a major part, because he, again, felt the pressure of his family and friends saying, hey, she's not one of us. I think he felt that pressure. It was in his head, and so he just couldn't connect to you on any level. So then they were kind of asked, Kenneth, did you realize you were on your phone so much? Like when you guys came back from the DR and we gave you your phones back, did you realize? And he is saying, listen, I'm a principal. I am truly connected to my teachers and my kids and their families. And not only did I miss them, they miss me. Kenneth, I don't care. We do not care. You were on that phone way too much. And clearly, for us to see how much you was on your phone, you was on your phone way more than that, because production ain't showing us everything. They not showing us everything. So they for them to focus on how much you was on your phone, you was on your phone. So we don't care that you're saying, you missed them. Well and good. But did you not tell them you was going on the show? Did they not expect for you to be gone this long? I don't know. I feel like you're making an excuse. Well, nevertheless, Kenneth and Brittany, out of all of this, are clearly good friends. And they did say, that they talk every day. They FaceTime every day. She calls him at work. He calls her at work. Yeah, I don't. Okay, but they're good friends, and they will continue, Brittany's words, to be friends until eternity. So now they are going to the three love triangle between Clay, AD, and Matthew. Matthew is not here. Matthew declined to come to the reunion. And let me say this, Love is Blind. If these people can't commit to coming to the reunion, they shouldn't be on the show, period. I understand, Laura wasn't physically there, but she did do the Zoom. If they can't come, Matthew, now you showed your tail. You showed your tail during the season. And now you don't want to come and show your... get out. Nevertheless, AD says that, she was unaware that Amber, who was Matthew, it was Matthew, AD, and Amber. She found out that Matthew was telling Amber the same things that he was telling AD. So, of course, Love is Blind rolls that beautiful beam footage of Matthew telling Amber and AD the exact same thing. And so after the show, they asked, I think Vanessa asked AD, have you spoken to Matthew since the show? And she said yes. Matter of fact, they went on 2 dates. AD, why would you do that? What's the reason? Because you know what? He probably went on a date with Amber too. I mean, he clearly played in your face on the show. You think he ain't gonna play when the cameras ain't around? Come on now. Are you silly? What in the world? Now, I haven't really gotten into the Love is Blind alums that are here at the reunion. Yes, they are talking a little bit. We're not really here for them, but I did want to bring attention to Chelsea and Kwame from season 4. And honestly, I never thought they've been married for 2 years. Never thought that they would make it this far, because honestly didn't think Kwame really liked Chelsea that much. He still really don't act like it too much, but that's my opinion. But Chelsea is saying that she actually has had the opportunity now. She switched careers, and now she has the opportunity to work with Love is Blind in casting the season. Chelsea, is this you? This season was you? I hope not, because my friend, you did a horrible job. I don't know if you casted this season 6, where we only had one couple and we had the most drama filled season ever. Is this you now, or is this the direction that Love is Blind is going? Listen, Love is Blind, bring back the old days where we have couples meet in the pod for this experiment to see if love is truly blind, and they actually get married and there's actually love. I mean, I don't know, that sounds like the premise of the show. All this other stuff that happened with Trevor, with Jeremy, I'm even gonna throw in Jimmy and Chelsea. It was a lot. It was a lot. But Chelsea, if this is you, you're fired. Well, guys, that brings us to the end of this season of Love is Blind. Hey, I have enjoyed doing this, and I've enjoyed meeting you guys down in the comments. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And stay tuned, because I will be reviewing some other shows. I've already have another season up for Married at First Sight, if you're into that. But yeah, just stay tuned to my channel. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.